what are we doing here? I know it's the doldrums of the NBA offseason right now for the Mavericks. I know there's a little bit of a lull here, but I see on my Twitter feed over the last couple of days these ridiculous trade rumors talking about the Mavericks trading for Derrick White of the Boston Celtics. There was another Celtics trade rumor that we're not even going to talk about here on today's show, but we have to discuss this, and I'm going to tell you why. It's an absolutely ridiculous thing that just will not happen. We'll talk about Derrick White in just a moment, but I need you guys to help me out. If we could get to 300 likes on today's show, it would mean a lot to me. It would show the bosses that I've been doing a good job here on Mavericks Today, and it would help us do more videos. So hit that thumbs up icon right now. If you don't know where it is, just go right below this video, and you'll see it right there in plain sight. All right, let's talk about Derrick White. The 2024 NBA champ, of course, has spent the last 4 seasons with the Celtics after being in San Antonio, and he has improved every single season. Last season with Boston averaging 16.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, almost 5 assists as well. Solid shooting from three-point land. And White is a guy who has kind of turned himself into an invaluable piece, really, for the Boston Celtics. And his shooting numbers are really excellent, to be honest. 39% from 3 when they won the title, 38 last year. And when you take a little bit of a deeper look from the corner, he's shooting over 44%, which is in the top percentiles of the NBA. Above the break, he's at 37.3, so he really thrives out there in the corner. And he's even worse on pull-up threes at 35%. And if the Mavericks still had a heliocentric offense surrounded by Luka Doncic, where it was a drive and kick type of offense, Derrick White would be the perfect person to just stick over there in the corner and jack up threes. And I bet that 44% would be close to 50%. But look, I think White is a fantastic player, and he has improved each year that he's been in Boston in his 4 seasons so far. And I don't think the Boston Celtics are going to do anything to get rid of him and really upset the apple cart. I do think Boston is going to make a couple of moves this offseason. However, I don't think those moves are going to involve Derrick White. White is just too valuable of a player for Brad Stevens, for Joe Mazzulla, and that Boston Celtics team. And I really don't believe that they're in the business of getting rid of Derrick White whatsoever. I think the Mavericks have definite needs to improve upon this offseason. I just don't know if Derrick White is one of those guys the Mavericks are going to go after. And here is what Sam Quinn of CBS had the Mavericks trading to the Boston Celtics for Derrick White. They had PJ Washington and Caleb Martin. They had Dwight Powell going in the deal as well, in addition to a 2029 and a 2032 first-round pick. That 29 pick was obviously what they got in exchange for Luka from the Lakers, and they own their own 2032 first-round picks. So I just don't know if this is something that I would do, and we're going to talk about why I wouldn't do this deal if I was the Mavericks or the Celtics here in just a moment. But I want to ask you guys, would you do this deal? Type A for accept or type D for decline. If you were the Mavericks general manager, would you trade PJ Washington, Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell, and 2 first-round picks for Derrick White? Type A for accept or type D for decline. You're going to get hit with the YouTube ad break here in just a couple of seconds. While that happens, go on down there and let me know whether you would accept or decline this trade. This would be awful asset management if you're the Dallas Mavericks. Look, you got 1 first-round pick for Luka, and then you're going out and you're going to trade 2 first-round picks for Derrick White. That makes no sense. In addition, you traded a first-round pick to go get PJ Washington at the trade deadline in 2024. So you're sending out basically another first-round pick, so to speak. So that's 3. Then you went out and traded a premium second-round pick for Caleb Martin. So you're trading 4 premium picks, essentially, plus the guy in PJ Washington, who I think you could get. You can move in another deal with less draft capital going the other way. I just don't think that this would be a good idea for Nico Harrison. Now, again, poor asset shuffling wouldn't surprise me given how the Mavericks have operated over the last couple of years. Someone reminded me about not just the moves that Nico has made this season, but in seasons past. He gave JaVale McGee a 3-year fully guaranteed deal at age 34 to be this team's starting center. And 2 weeks into the season, we found it was evident that JaVale McGee wouldn't play. Gave up an extra second round pick to go get Caleb Martin. He traded Luka Doncic away, which is, awful in its own right. And then he only got 1 first round pick back. So like I said, a poor asset management offseason wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. But if you were to make this trade, I just think it would be another example of the Mavericks not really knowing what to do with their assets and trying to go all in on a theory that really just doesn't work out. And make no mistake about this, Derrick White is a fantastic player. He's an NBA champion. He was a key cog of that team. Some could argue that he's the second most valuable player on the Boston Celtics over Jaylen Brown, where obviously Tatum is one. But now that Tatum's out with the Achilles, it probably makes Derrick White's value to the Celtics even more. So on top of it not making sense for Boston, I don't think this makes sense for the Mavericks either. This is a trade that I think would set the Celtics back. This is a trade that would even, that would make the Mavericks assets and make the cupboard even more bare than it already is. So it doesn't make sense for either side to me. I'm out on this trade. I love Derrick White, the player. I just don't think he's going to be a Dallas Maverick anytime soon. We'll get to the rest of today's show here in just a few moments, but I do need to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's show, which of course is PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks has over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, making daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. And you can also turn your playoff hot takes into tickets to basketball's championship series. Every lineup you make on PrizePicks will enter you in the Takes 2 ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP trip to the ship. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that could lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, PrizePicks will discount select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. We have a big game tonight between the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers, game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. I'm going to take the more on Jake Ottinger saves. I'm going to take the more on Matt Duchene points, and I'm going to take the less on Connor McDavid points. So you can copy my picks or make picks of your own. Just please make sure you do it with our friends over at PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get that $50 bonus when you play your first $5 lineup. Again, you don't even need to win to receive that bonus. It is guaranteed. That link will be in the comments and description of today's show. It is PrizePicks. Run your game. I wanted to take a look at both of the playoff series that are going on right now. Obviously, the Western Conference Finals featuring the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder winning game 1 last night. I do think that this is going to be a good series. The Thunder the Thunder didn't play well in the first half. I believe Shea went 2 of 13 from the field in the first half, but the free throw merchant strikes again, and the Thunder end up going up 1-0 in that series. And seeing Minnesota and OKC in the Western Conference Finals just pisses me off because the Mavericks packed up both of these teams last year. Obviously, OKC in the second round, the Mavs won in 6, and Minnesota, they packed up in 5 in the conference finals. So, look, man, it just hurts because I think if the Mavericks just kept this thing together and if they had Luka, if they had the same roster they had last year that was healthy, I really believe in my heart of hearts that the Mavericks could have been in the 2025 NBA Finals. Even if they limped into the playoffs, I think even if they were in the play-in, they could have won the play-in, they could have gotten to the playoffs, and they could have beaten anybody in this year's Western Conference. And it just breaks my heart that the Mavs are sitting at home and we're just talking about it here. And then in the East, shout out to producer Joey for getting this photo because I forgot it. That's on me. These two are facing off in the Eastern Conference Finals. Jalen Brunson, Mavs second-round pick in 2018 when they drafted Luka. And then Mavs head coach Rick Carlisle, former Mavs head coach Rick Carlisle, the best coach in franchise history, the only coach to bring the Mavericks an NBA title. He was here for 13 years. These two guys are facing off in the Western Conference Final, and I'm rooting like hell for both of them, to be honest. I love Rick. I love JB. Love watching them show out for their respective teams. And the way it just ended with both Carlisle and Luka and Brunson, for that matter, it just didn't have to be this way. The Mavericks just didn't. It was just an ugly divorce in all three of these, to be honest, where, Jalen Brunson's dad kind of stepped in and the Mavericks didn't offer JB the extension when they could have. And the whole Rick Carlisle and Donnie Nelson and Mark Cuban feuds and Carlisle's feuds with Luka and whatnot, it just didn't have to be this way. If this trio was currently still here with the Dallas Mavericks, would the Mavericks be a dynasty right now? I know that's a ridiculous thing to say, but I do think that they could have figured things out. They could have ended up winning a ring. And It's just heartbreaking to see all of these Mavericks ties in the conference finals, and they all could have been here in Dallas, doing it at the American Airlines Center like the Dallas Stars are hopefully going to do for us this year. Before we get on out of here, though, I want to ask you guys, will the Mavs win a playoff series next year? Simple yes or no down in the comment section. I know there's a lot to be done here in the offseason, but I want to take the pulse of Mavs fans right now. Let me know if you think they're going to win a playoff series. And as always, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. It's youtube.com/MavsTV, and we'll see you soon here on the channel.